Hello, everybody. Hi. I'm assuming this is working. Good morning, everybody. Today is March 26th. No, yes, March 26th. It's hard to know what day it is these days, as they all seem to be, to some degree, drifting one into another. Here in Krakow, it's a beautiful day, warming up, but most of us are inside, spending our time inside as you are rest of the world. Hello, Baranek, Marek Baranek, the mayor of Miami Beach, the unofficial mayor of Miami Beach checking in. Hello, Mark, good to see you. Hopefully I'll be visiting you very, very soon. I just want to give you a little bit of an update on where we are in Poland. So far, we're around a little over 1,000 cases, 14 deaths. Terrible. New regulations came in to effect yesterday. Until April 11th, you can only have two people meeting together. Religious meetings can only be up to 5 people, which is obviously a problem for having a minyan here. So we'll have to figure out what to do about that. I think a lot of things will go virtual. And April 11th is the day before Easter. I think Saturday, April 11th. So right after Pesach and Easter, we'll be able to figure out what else is going on, what things will look like here in Poland. I know that the United States is really suffering right now and kind of getting a big hit in terms of cases and deaths. New York City, where I'm from, is really the epicenter, which is tragic. So I hope everyone there is staying safe in New York and everywhere else. And hopefully pretty soon we'll be able to turn the corner on a lot of these things. Governor Cuomo, the governor of New York City, is, I think, doing a great job and has really shown what effective leadership can be. We live in a time where there's a lot of bad leadership, let's say, in all different countries. So to see somebody really step up as Governor Cuomo has been fantastic. I actually, as a project in high school, worked for his father, for Mario Cuomo, who was really a great leader back in the 80s, 87, 88. That was a project working in his New York City office, which was actually in the World Trade Center, where it worked on the 57th floor of the World Trade Center for 2 years. But that's a different tragedy. So that's where we are. Corona life goes on. In terms of the JCC, we're still closed. We've moved a lot of our programming online. So in terms of BBYO, Hillel, all our language classes, Hebrew, Arabic, Yiddish, all moved online. And Jeffrey, we're working with that. And an important part of what we're doing is taking care of our seniors, of course, our Holocaust survivors who've been through so much. And we have started making deliveries to their houses of groceries. It's not easy for them to get around, especially considering they're the most at risk. So we have gone and dropped off groceries. We're calling them every day. Which is for us. I think it's nice for them, but to be honest, it's nicer for us. We're really able to make those calls and talk to our seniors, who are, of course, the heart and soul of this community. Good morning, Jeffrey Rolat asked if we're talking about the Chinese flu today. Yes, we're talking about the Wuhan flu, the Rolat, what we call the Jeffrey flu here in Krakow. No, just kidding, Jeffrey. We love you. We're talking about a little bit about Corona. Sandy Leibowitz. Hi from New Jersey. Hello from sunny New Jersey. Happy to hear things are going well today. Say hi to Dr. Nate. I'm sure Dr. Nate is keeping busy. Sandy's husband, Nate, cardiologist in New Jersey. See Isaac Franks from Atlanta. Hi, Isaac. Isaac and his wonderful family, the Franks in Atlanta, doing so much good in the Jewish world, both in Atlanta and Israel, here in Poland, and all over the place. So more Carol. Hey, Carol Mesnitsky from Linden, more New Jersey. New Jersey, you guys stay safe out there. just talking about what we're doing here. So we're helping our seniors. Now we're talking about Pesach. We had a question about what we're going to do. Suellen Kadis asked for our plans for Passover. I'm sure this is on your mind. We're figuring out things the way that you are. So we have, of course, decided not to, in keeping with Polish government new regulations, not gathering. So we're not going to have Seder here at the JCC. For us, of course, as it is for you guys at home, a bummer. We had, Seder is such an important part of our Jewish life cycle. Such, really, I think the holiday that defines Judaism in many ways, always, as we say in Poland, going from the darkness to the light, going from slavery to freedom, going from tragedy to hope. But this year, of course, we will all be celebrating our Seders just a little differently. So the JCC, instead of doing what we usually do, which is have 3 or 4 separate Seders. Last year, we had a Seder for survivors, a student Seder, a Seder for kids and young families, and then the main sort of senior Seder for everybody else. And we had about maybe 150, 180. I don't quite remember how many people last year, and that's been growing. So we were expecting something like that this year, but we're going to move it all online. We'll be conducting a Seder via Zoom. So if any of you guys have some good Zoom hints about how to do a Seder, I think we're all looking at that. We're all looking at the Zoom Seders this year. And so we can, if anybody has any ideas, you can share them with us and we'll send it out to our mailing list. And if we figure out anything about how to do a Zoom Seder in some very interesting way, we'll send that out. We'll send that out to you. I mean, it's really phenomenal if you think about the fact that we are all isolated and we're not meeting and our daily lives are disrupted and we're unsure about health and dealing with that and finances and people are out of work. But I think at least we have this ability to connect to each other virtually, and how isolated we would be if we didn't have this. So it's something I think really very special. Shlomi, so a local question. Shlomi is a member of our local community from Israel. He's studying here in Krakow. He's originally from Oshvinshim, from the town which you, of course, know all better as Auschwitz. His family is from there. Shlomi is a very active JCC member, and Shlomi asks, will it be possible to buy groceries for Passover, matzot, etc.? Yes, we have ordered some groceries. We've ordered, this is, of course, we put in the order before we understood what was happening with the corona. So we put an order for our own Seder. So of course, we're not going to be having that Seder. So all the matzah and all the food that we have for ourselves, we will distribute to the community, Shlomi. So be in touch with us about that. Shout out to, I see Karen. Hey, Karen, from sending hugs from Los Angeles. Right back at you, Karen. Los Angeles has become an important, very important part of our JCC family. I've made a bunch of visits there. Los Angeles, different communities have visited us. I spoke at Sinai Temple. I spoke at Stephen Wise, and spoke at some private events as well for the board of the LA Museum of the Holocaust, and at ICAR, which is a wonderful community. And the ICAR community and Rabbi Brau's supposed to come on the ride for 2021. And of course, we'll have a ride update story. It's always a question people asking about this year's ride. So we'll see. Hey, Saul, out in Long Island, Saul Schachter, big friend of the JCC. How are you, Saul? Oh, thanks, Isaac, for the kind words. Isaac Frank again, writing in. Hey, William from Boston, checking in. How you doing? Oh, good morning, Vicky Warner, president of our Friends of Board. As you guys know, JCC is supported by thousands of people, many of you watching, people from all over the world. And in order to do that from the United States, we've set up a 501c3, a Friends of organization. And we have some board members on, Vicky Warner, our president, Sue Ellen, board member, our secretary is watching. So good morning and thank you for supporting the JCC. Let's see what other questions we have. Plans for Passover. We have really something very lovely. We have the Panic family. So originally from Poland, moved to Brazil, Anita Panic, and then her daughter has been back and forth between Brazil and Krakow. And Anita Panic moved back here at, I think, age almost 90. but her daughter, Anna Panek, writes, can I help you in any way, although I'm so far away and in quarantine? Well, first of all, thank you for letting us know that you're safe, and you're helping us just by being a community member, and we're making sure that your mom is okay, lives right around the corner, so we'll make sure she has matzah, and sending lots of love to you in Brazil. I see Marcel is watching, of course. Now my day is almost complete. Marcel Zielinski, our Ride for the Living hero, Holocaust survivor, Auschwitz survivor, is watching. And shout out to you and Marilla. Hope you're well, Marcel. Very much looking forward to seeing you here on the ride again, hopefully this year. So, about the ride. As of now, the ride has not been canceled. It's still going on. We are fortunate to be in a position where we can make that decision much later. We don't need a huge amount of lead time because we've done it 6 years in a row. I think I told you all this last week. We're still in the same situation. I do have news to report, though, that the Jewish Culture Festival has been canceled this year. So the whole, the festival, which is the world's largest, greatest Jewish culture festival, this would have been the 30th edition, has been canceled. They're bringing artists from all over the world, and they need, really so much preparation and lead time that they had to make that difficult decision and cancel it. So Janusz Makuk, the founder and director, our hearts go out to them for having to. They work so hard in building this great festival, and this year they've had to cancel. So, that's a shame for us. But as of now, the ride is still on. Actually, I got an email today from Susan and Michael Frum. They're very involved. They're in Massachusetts, very involved with JCPA, and wrote that they are still planning on coming and hope that the ride is still going. So I'm happy to report that as of now, the ride is still on. We will, of course, we're monitoring the situation, obviously, on a minute-by-minute basis. And if it makes sense for us to be able to go forward with that, we will. And if not, we have also been coming up with some contingency plans, some really exciting other ways that we can celebrate together and have the ride in some sense. So maybe it'll be virtual. Maybe it will be, just much smaller this year. But absolutely, I can tell you that as of now, we haven't canceled Ride for the Living, where our vendors have agreed to postpone those dates that we have to let them know in terms of bicycles and hotels and food and all of the millions of little things that go into the ride are still on for this year. And I am incredibly hopeful that we'll be able to continue to do the bicycle ride, to do Ride for the Living, which is such an important part of our yearly calendar. So for those of you who are planning on coming, don't cancel your tickets yet. If you're able to not cancel and you can hold out, then let's see what happens. It's over 3 months from now. The ride is from July 2nd to July 5th. So today is, as I looked up and checked, March 26th. Massachusetts. Thank you, Suella and Susan and Michael from Reading, right? Not from Massachusetts, from Pennsylvania, Reading, Pennsylvania, and New York City. Thank you for that, Suella. And I thought, I know somewhere around Massachusetts, Reading, Pennsylvania. So as of now, we have over 3 months, April, May, June, more than 3 months till the bicycle ride, and we're very hopeful that we'll still be able to go on with the ride. But as I just said, if not, then we'll figure something else out, and we'll have, I'm sure, in some sense, if the actual ride doesn't go on, then we will do some other virtual ride. Yeah, Ruth Ellen Gruber joining in. Hi, Ruth, from hard hit from Italy, from Umbria. Hope you're staying safe, Ruth. The festival canceled. They just announced yesterday. We got an email from the festival saying that it's canceled. So we'll see. Ava Zurek. Hey, Ava from Warsaw. How are you? Our friends in Warsaw. Hope everyone's staying safe. So let's see. I had the plans for Passover, canceled the Jewish Culture Festival, have a canceled Ride for the Living. Benji Lovett, our JCC t-shirt model, Benji Lovett, who is managing to survive his quarantine while wearing a JCC t-shirt the entire time. Actually, he wears a JCC t-shirt almost every day anyway, which is why he's our favorite comedian and someone very close to us here at the JCC. As Ruth Ellen Gruber called him during the Latka Hamantashen debate 2 years ago, funny boy. Funny boy Benji Lovett, who many of you know, visits a lot of communities around the U.S. and Israel, talking about doing his comedy. He asked, "What is the more heated rivalry? Red Sox, Yankees, Arabs, Jews, or Hamantashen Latka?" This is from Benji Lovett. Red Sox, Yankees, Arabs, Jews, or Hamantashen Latka? I'm going to say in first place, Hamantashen Latka. In second place, Red Sox, Yankees. And because things have been in this category getting better lately, Arabs, Jews. I just got word that I'm not sure the festival has officially released that information. So just kidding. No, not just kidding. I nobody told me not to say it. So I hope I wasn't divulging any information that the festival wants to release at a different time. So sorry about that to the festival if I did that, but we found out and didn't understand that it was a secret if it is a secret. So hopefully it was not a secret. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to get to some more. Now there are some other questions, more personal questions as people like to send in. But if you have more questions, I'm seeing your comments in real time live as I talk to you guys. So if you have any questions, please, I'm happy to see your comments and hellos, but also if you have any questions, happy to try to answer them. Let's see what we have. Question, what is the first thing that you'll do after the whole Corona situation ends? Well, I will welcome my coworkers back to work and the community and be able to start spending time once again with the community, having Shabbat dinners, seeing people here for their classes, going into the senior club and schmoozing and catching up with them in person. It's been very difficult to not be able to be together as a community. So that would be the first thing that I would be able to do. The second thing I would do would probably be get on a plane and fly to the US. I had a trip that I was actually supposed to come back to Krakow yesterday, 2-week trip that was meant to be New York City, Cleveland, Baltimore, and Boston, and that got canceled. So there's a lot to make up. I would probably get on a plane and go try to reconnect and to have some of those meetings that got canceled. So those are the first things that I would do. It would just be nice to see people, as I'm sure you guys would say. It'd be nice to just have people out on the street and see people and connect and give somebody a hug. It's been a challenging couple weeks really for all of us, but at least we're able to connect this way virtually. Another question. Here's another one. Do you believe in God? Okay. I used to very often talk about how the fact that I'm an atheist, and then my mother would tell me, "Jonathan, you're running a Jewish institution. Stop saying all the time that you're an atheist." So I don't really talk about it very much these days, although I feel that it's nothing to be ashamed of. I would consider myself still absolutely an atheist. I think that sometimes being an atheist is, there's an idea that you can be any religion that you want and believe in whatever you want, but atheism is kind of not accepted. So I always felt it was important to talk about that, just so people who also don't believe in the higher power don't feel that there are other people out there with the same beliefs. I should say also, although it's probably self-evident, that I do feel incredibly Jewish. I don't feel that my belief or lack of belief has anything to do with my Jewish identity. I feel, as Jewish as anybody. I celebrate Jewish holidays. I actually go to synagogue because of the community aspect of synagogue. When they need me for a minyan, I'm very, very often the 10th person at the minyan. It's also what happens when you actually live physically right next door to a synagogue, as I'm lucky enough to do here in Krakow. So I'm very often, I can tell you, the 10th person for a minyan all during the week and happening all the time. But I am somebody who doesn't believe in God, and I see Judaism, which is sometimes a difficult thing to explain here in Poland. But for many people somewhat obvious that Judaism is, of course, something much more than a religion. Judaism is we're a nation, we're a people, we're a family, we're a culture, we're tradition, we're so many of these things. So not only a religion. So I don't think that my not believing is in any way a problem. To be honest, I did, however, grow up Orthodox. My father is Orthodox, and still I grew up in a kosher home. They sent me to yeshiva, or they tried when I was very, very young. That didn't work out very well. And I've just, since I was very young, have not believed, and it was always hard for me. My father would try to get me to go to sort of go through the motions and put on tefillin and do all these things, and it was hard for me to do something that I didn't believe in. So, hard for me to pray when I don't believe that I'm actually praying. So I do feel very Jewish, very connected. I do a lot. I think that there's no disconnect between participating fully in Jewish rituals and not necessarily believing that there's, God in some sense watching, if that answers that question, I hope. So greeting from Milan, from Agnieszka Kubicka. Greeting. Hey, stay safe in Milan. I hope you guys have turned the corner and are doing better. Pani Magosha Zaida, who runs our senior club, who's the absolutely amazing director of our senior club and takes care of our seniors and survivors. Special shout out to Magosha, who does amazing work. Moshe Katz, good friend Moshe from Milwaukee, who I think now, are you the head of the board of the Federation, Moshe? He was, I think, also the head of the JCC. Fantastic community, Milwaukee, which was supposed to host what was called the biennial, which is called the J Summit, which is the biennial, the meeting of all JCCs around the world. That was supposed to be at the beginning of May. That just got canceled, as I'm afraid did my trip to Milwaukee, which I'm very, very upset about. Milwaukee's a wonderful Jewish community, beautiful city, fun city. We have a lot of friends in Milwaukee. We had a partnership actually with Milwaukee JCC and the Jewish Community Center in Jerusalem and JCC Krakow. Our students had an environmental project together. But I was really excited this time to come and see you, Moshe, and other friends in Milwaukee. Also, I was going to bring Kasha. Kasha, as many of you know, is a huge fan of ice cream. And I wanted to bring her to Kops, which is a very famous old custard place in Milwaukee. And also, as a pizza person, they just opened Luminati's, which is the kind of upside down, thick Chicago pizza, very famous. They opened recently in Milwaukee. So I was excited for not only seeing my friends in Milwaukee and connecting to the community, but able to have some good Kops custard and Luminati's pizza. Tina online, greetings from Manhattan, New York. Thank you for the kind words, saying nice things about me that I don't want to repeat because it sounds like too nice. But her daughter is an ICU doctor, and wow. So thank you, Isabel. Thanks to Tina Newman's daughter, Isabella, an ICU doctor here in New York. Just unbelievably difficult situation there. The people in the healthcare profession just doing an amazing job, making sure that the rest of us can stay safe, just working incredible hours without all the equipment they need. So thank you. Please send all of our regards to your daughter, Isabella. Tina's grandfather actually from Krakow. So always, you're a Krakowianka. Always wonderful when people from Krakow are able to reconnect to the community. And I think that's also a very important part of our mission here. People who are from Krakow, and of course, families left, many of the family members murdered here during the Holocaust. And now people understand that Krakow is beyond, it's not only a story of the Holocaust, and people from Krakow, people's families from Krakow coming back and visiting, learning about the Jewish life, all the 1,000 years of Jewish history, Krakow about 700 years of history before the war, and now this rebirth of Jewish life that's going on. So special shout out to thank you, Tina, and to your daughter, Isabella. There's Anna checking in from Brazil. Richard Rosenthal, it's not a religion, it's a consciousness. Greetings from Asbury Park. Well, Richard gets extra credit for greetings from Asbury Park. Not only is he sending greetings from Asbury Park, but as many of you know, many of you should know, Greetings from Asbury Park, the name of a Bruce Springsteen album. I'm a huge Bruce fan, so anytime somebody can work in little Bruce Springsteen, especially in context, good job, Rich from Asbury Park. Well, Rich from all over the world, spent some time here in Krakow, and now from Asbury Park. Okay. Another question. Somebody else asked about the signs in the office. As I gave you guys a little virtual tour, maybe this, I'll do it just once again. I can actually, people ask about the signs, we can do a little virtual tour of the office. People always ask about the office. It's a colorful office. I think this idea of people associating Krakow with darkness and with tragedy, and people often think, we're the view of Poland in many ways has been defined by these pre-war photos, black and white photos. So the building, the JCC building, I think many of you have been here, is very colorful, and we wanted the office to look that way as well. So I'm not really such a colorful person. If you've been to my house here in Krakow, you notice it's all gray and white, and it's all very, very, kind of sterile in that sense. It doesn't look like my office, but the office is supposed to convey this message of color and optimism and hope. So I can give you a quick little tour of the office, some of the street signs that I've collected over the years. Traffic light, as we saw last week. This is the view out the window. Not much going on. The cafe outside. Couple things on my desk. I should say I like to keep usually nothing at all on my desk when I go home. Desk has to be absolutely clean. These are some TVs. These are actually Polish TVs from the 60s. It's a Unitra TV. That was the brand. They were travel TVs from the 60s. They have a little handle that you can pick up and carry it, like if you went camping or so. And I saw the design. I thought it was cool. So I went on the Polish version of eBay, which is called Allegro. And I bought up a bunch of those TVs, and I just stacked them up. So they're actually not working, but I thought they looked kind of cool. And just some more different artwork, and the JCC schedule, picture of the Pope with the JCC t-shirt. So Benji, love it. You're in good company. The Pope likes the t-shirt. You like the t-shirt. And yeah, just some signs and other, as my dad would say, chazarai in the office. If you guys are interested in signs, because I got a lot of the questions were always about like what's going on with those signs. What do we have the signs? I do have on Instagram. You can go and check out, not my personal Instagram, not too exciting, but all the signs _KRK, where I put up I think most of my sign collection. So if you're interested in signs, you can check them out there. Okay. See any other questions that I have. Do you believe in God? We dealt with that one. One this week that made me happy or hopeful. Ooh, that's a good one. Haven't really planned that one. One thing this week that made me happy or hopeful. First of all, I'm going to turn that question around to you. If you guys have something this week that you saw, that you did, or that made you happy or hopeful, you can write it in the comments, and I'll try to shout it out to people so they can make it aware to the millions viewing in the home audience. It's funny when you do this Facebook Live thing, you don't see, when you watch somebody else, you see how many viewers there are, but I don't see how many viewers. All I see are the comments on the left. So it's a little strange that Facebook did it that way, that they don't show the person who's broadcasting how many people, because if there could be nobody there, you'd probably stop talking, and it could be millions of people. Then you will say, oh, Kasha joined in. Kasha, hi Kasha. Don't worry, Kasha and I are not in quarantine from each other, but Kasha is home. TV is Vela. She's correcting me. Thank you, Kasha. The brand is Unitra, and the TV is Vela 203. It's actually the model, the exact model number, if any of you want to collect them. But please don't collect them, because then it'll raise the price and it'll be difficult for me to collect them. Jeffrey, rollout's got to go. Love you too, man. Stay safe in LA. Hopefully I'll be out there soon. But I didn't answer the question. One thing this week that made me happy, or hopeful? To be honest, I have two elderly parents that are not healthy in the best of times. And my mom is in a new place, assisted care facility, I guess it's called, and is doing well there. And that was something we were very worried about, and is safe. And my dad is at home and also safe. And I think that's been the thing that has been really positive for me this week. I don't get to see my parents. Well, I guess I do see them a reasonable amount of time because I am traveling to the U.S. In a normal world, traveling to the U.S. quite often. So I get to see them when I do travel to the U.S., but I don't see them, I guess, as often as maybe some other people do that live in the same country as their parents. So it's nice to know that they're well and doing okay, especially as it was a big step for my mom to go from living on her own to being in this assisted living facility. Vicky Warner says she's been moved. Yeah, I would agree with her. All the medical professionals that have volunteered in New York, including mental health professionals, absolutely. You're right, Vicky. It's been amazing to watch how how people just have been able to come together and help each other. A situation like this, a virus, a pandemic, or a war, brings out the best in people and it brings out the worst in people. And I think that you never really know how you're going to act in a situation like this until the situation is really upon you. So when people talk about, here we're talking always about World War II and the Holocaust and what did people do, and polls that, were helpful to Jews and polls that hurt the Jews, and what with this one. And, it's very easy. And we're always getting into these very complicated, difficult discussions. And I don't necessarily have an answer. But what I do know is that none of us truly know how we would act in any of these situations until we're in those situations. You can think, if there was a war, I would save this one and I would risk my life and my family's life. It's nice to think that way, and hopefully that would be true, but none of us really ever know how that's going to play out until it happens, which is just the case. So it's been good to see, especially in New York City, under very, very difficult conditions. People live so close together in New York, closer than in other places really in the US, most other places. So it's been encouraging, you're right to say that, Vicky, to see how well others are, how well mental health professionals as well, and all the medical professionals really in New York City have been handling that. So I would agree. Other questions, a little bit of question from the past that I didn't get to. What's it like to work in a Mexican restaurant? Jody Clements. After I finished an OPON in Israel, before I went to the army, a bunch of us lived in Jerusalem, and I worked for a while in a Mexican restaurant called Amigos, which is no longer there, on Yoel Solomon Street. There were 4 of us living in the apartment, and all 4 of us worked in restaurants on the same street. So it was very cool that we were all part of this, and this you're talking about, this was late 94 to early, and then till 95, so 94, 95. And working in a Mexican restaurant was a lot of fun. To be honest, it was a kosher restaurant and it was meat, and I was a vegetarian. So it wasn't too exciting for me food-wise because they didn't even have any cheese. So it was a bit of a strange situation to be working in a restaurant, not really eating there or anything. I happen to love Mexican food. You have a lot of good ethnic food here in Krakow. It's gotten much, much better. There's very, very good pizza. There's good falafel. There's excellent Indian food, but you don't really have Mexican food. So that's the thing that I miss. So when I'm abroad, when I'm in the US, especially in California, I eat as much Mexican food as possible. I don't know if Toby is watching, but Judd is taking me to some pretty good kind of hole in the wall Mexican place that we really like out there in the Palo Alto area. But there's just amazing Mexican food out in the Bay. Justin Cadis and I have been to a great place in the Mission in San Francisco. Actually, I went there also with Jeffrey Rolat. So there's really just amazing Mexican food, and that's the thing that I miss. So, but working in the Mexican restaurant, I didn't eat any of it because it was just nothing, not too much for me. Maybe I had some rice and tortillas and things like that. So if you guys have any questions, please write them in, or I'm just going to continue blabbing indefinitely about random stuff. If you have any questions, that would be very nice of you to be able to write them in, so I don't have to just talk, but I will continue to talk about stuff. I was thinking that, I don't know if everybody knows, I could, thinking of telling the story of the founding of the JCC. Is that a story that would be interesting for you guys to hear? Prince Charles and all that. He's in my mind, on my mind, because he just yesterday tested positive for corona. Camilla tested negative, but Prince Charles wasn't feeling well or was exposed to somebody, so they tested him, and he is at home with corona, not showing any symptoms, which is good as of now. But he is our patron. He's the patron of World Jewish Relief that built the JCC and really caused the center to be built. So maybe I'll just quickly tell that story in honor of the prince who came down with coronavirus yesterday. So in 2002, he was here on a state visit, and to the Jewish border here to Kazimierz, and he met with some survivors, and he was very moved by their histories, first really surviving the Holocaust and then surviving communism, outlasting communism. Now, very often questions like that, oops, getting a phone call. People ask politicians and leaders, people say, oh, how can I help you? What do you need? But Prince Charles asked, and he meant it. He asked these survivors what he could do for them, and they told him they have all the synagogues. The Jewish quarter in Krakow has 7 renovated pre-war synagogues, best preserved Jewish quarter anywhere in Europe. So they had said, we have, Your Highness, we have all these synagogues, we have a place to pray. What we don't have is a place to be together like a senior citizen club, senior citizen center. So Prince Charles promised to help them realize their dream of having a senior citizen center. He went back to the UK and got involved with an organization called World Jewish Relief. They were the main organizer of the Kinder transport, saved a lot of Jews back in the day of World War II, the beginning of the war. And now they do a lot of good work, Jewish causes and non-sectarian causes, emergency relief work around the world. Anyway, Prince Charles approached them with this idea of building a senior citizen home, the senior citizen center in Krakow. They were thrilled that Prince Charles came to them. They went then and contacted the Joint, the JDC. They do a lot of work together in Europe. And they did a bit of research together and realized that it wasn't only an older community, survivor community, that there were young people beginning to find out about their Jewish roots. So they went back to the prince and said, this is great, we're thrilled about this project, but maybe instead of only doing a senior citizen center, let's do something broader like a JCC. Prince Charles said, okay. He gave some money, and with the prince's involvement, they were able to raise the rest of the money in London. And by 2008, they'd gotten all the permits and raised the money and built the building. And April 29th, 2008, Prince Charles and Camilla, the Prince of Wales and Duchess of Cornwall, came to Krakow, spent the day with us, opened the JCC, and there's your story. And the prince does take an active interest in the JCC. I was able to meet with him in London and brief him about all that's going on. When I told him about the preschool, he absolutely couldn't believe it. As surprised as royal members of the royal families he got, and was just thrilled about it. So it's a nice story. The JCC not only is dependent on Prince Charles, or was dependent on him to be open, but it wouldn't be here if it weren't for Prince Charles. So let's all pray for his speedy recovery, along with the recovery of everyone else who's is suffering from the coronavirus. Some more questions came in. Excellent. So Ellen asked, once we're past the virus, what are the next big plans for the JCC? Well, I hope the next big plan for the JCC will be the bicycle ride after we're done with the virus. Actually, before that, 7 at Night, which is a really unique program. I don't know if everyone knows about that one. We I mentioned all the synagogues in Krakow. So we do like night of the synagogues, and we do night of the museums, and we do night of the synagogues here in Krakow. We open up all 7 of our pre-war synagogues, the youngest from 1862, the oldest from the 15th century. We open them all up around Shavuot, and we do a night of learning and culture in all synagogues. And we have thousands of Krakowians. We open it up for everybody. It's a free evening, and we have 6,000-7,000 people each year have come and done that. Come and do that. So that's at the end of May. So hopefully that'll be the next big plan for the JCC, and then the bicycle ride, and we can start to get back to normal. Anna Maria Barua, star tour guide of Krakow, who many of you have known, have been shown you around Krakow. If you've come to know and love Krakow, there's a good chance that your love of Krakow started with a Anna Maria Barua tour. We work very closely with Anna Maria, and she's a great partner of the JCC. My thoughts on tourism in a post-COVID-19 world and Krakow. Yeah, I think that tourism is going to come back in a huge way. I think that people didn't appreciate the ability to just get on a plane and fly around the world and go places as easily as we had become accustomed to doing before this all stopped that. And I think once the world can travel, tourism is going to come back in a huge way. I think the tourism, the travel industry, the airline industry and stuff, the hotel industry will obviously go through some kind of consolidation now because of this, that not all of the companies that are now in business will survive, and that's unfortunate. But I think overall people want to visit other places. I think we have the technology to allow people to visit other places. Airbnb has made it much easier more affordable to stay in other places and discount airfares. These cheap airlines have made it incredibly easy in a place like Europe or in the US. Also, the airline, generally airfares have come down over the years tremendously, if you look in terms of real cost and real dollar value. So I'm not too worried about the future of tourism overall. In terms of Krakow, absolutely, I'm not worried about that. Krakow is one of the most beautiful cities in Europe and the world. There aren't that many cities in this part of the world that survived the war that are this beautiful, and people will always want to visit Krakow. And the infrastructure will be here, and we'll stay there. We'll survive this crisis, and the infrastructure will be here to take care of the tourists that will once again come to Krakow. I know that I can't wait, and I hate flying. I fly over 100 flights or so a year at least, and I'm not a fan of flying, but I can't wait to go and fly somewhere. To be honest, after all of this, we all feel like the world has gotten very, very small, and I think travel reminds us of how big the world really is, but yet how connected it is, and how we're all able to visit other beautiful places of it. And I think when you talk to people about highlights of their life, many of the highlights of people's lives, whether they're in their 20s or in their 90s, are places that they visited and friends that they made in those different places. So I don't think that this virus or anything else would stop that long term. I think that if I'm betting on the tourism industry and the travel industry, I would say that it's going to come back. Even people will travel even more than they did before. Now, maybe they'll be more safety conscious. Maybe people will wear masks when they're on planes and gloves, and we'll sanitize our hands more and wash our hands more. But there's no question in my mind about the future of travel and tourism, and especially in a place like Krakow. Rich Rosenthal, do you have knowledge that the prince visited with the tzaddikim Rabbi Natan Shapira when he was in Krakow? With the kever? No, I have no awareness of that. I don't think he went and visited any of the graves of any of the tzaddikim, as far as I know. Stacy Science from Chappaqua. Hi, Stacy. Shout out to Stacy. Chaya Kessler saying, we love Anya. Yes, everyone loves. Who doesn't love Anna Maria Barua? Everyone loves Anya. Shia Gitlin, good friend Shia Gitlin, a big hug from Mexico. Big hug to you right back, Shia. Shia is very involved in the Mexican Jewish community, a wonderful community. they have a JCC there called the Centro Deportivo Israelito, the CDI, which is, I think, the largest JCC in the world. I'm guessing they have about 30,000 or so members. It's an unbelievable community in Mexico. Just a really, in many ways, a unique Jewish community. If any of you have not had a chance to visit Mexico, and not only Mexico, but to visit the Jewish community there in Mexico, it's something really, really exciting. I feel like this Facebook Live has been a big ad for Mexico, between talking about working in a Mexican restaurant, my love for Mexican food, and then the shout out to the Mexican Jewish community. It's been a lot of love toward Mexico, but it's an amazing country and an amazing Jewish community, and they deserve that. Stay safe, all my friends out there in Mexico. So if there are no more questions, I think we're coming up on 45 minutes. I am going to end it very, very soon. I should say that if any of your communities, any of you that have visited here in Krakow, you've come with a synagogue or a federation, a JCC, a group of friends or something, and would like to get an update, like to do one of these Facebook Lives or a Zoom call with me, I'm happy to do it. I'm here and have time to do it, and would like to connect, because we can't connect directly in person. I'd love to do it virtually. You can shoot me an email or let me know on Facebook or wherever, and we'll set that up. Actually, I have in an hour or so a Zoom call with the women's group from the Washington, D.C. Federation that visited here a few months ago. So I'm happy to do that and set that up with you guys. That's a lot of fun for me. I'm always, as you know very, very well, I'm always happy to talk about Krakow and the Jewish community here and the Jewish rebirth, all the stuff that's going on in Krakow. I think next week, I talked last week about having a special guest. We figured out the technology, I think. So next week, I will bring on a guest to talk about some other stuff here going on in Poland. And thank you very, very much for tuning in. I know that although we have some time at home, there's lots of other interactions online, and I very much appreciate your time and all the support that you continue showing for the JCC. Everybody is still working here. We still have all our employees are still here. We still have generating tremendous costs. If any of you are interested, I would be neglect if I didn't say you can get involved. Many of you are already supporting us, and thank you for that. If any of you would like to continue supporting us at this difficult time, then it's a challenging time for us as well, because we don't have all these visitors and people aren't visiting, and all the income that we get from that and from donations that come from visitors. So if you'd like to get involved, it's very easy. Just go to friendsofjcckrakow.org, and there's a way for you to donate. But anyway, thank you for your engagement. Thank you for staying involved. Thank you for caring about our JCC, and thank you for being part of our community, now our online community, but really part of our JCC family. So sending love from Krakow, and see you again, same time next week. Bye.